So to start opening, find a comfortable seat. And if you're more comfortable in a chair, please take your time, find your chair and find your seat. In the meantime, I hope you guys don't mind me sharing some of my own experience and some of my insights regarding this whole thing, because it always seems to come back around to lessons that we can learn from our practice. So I feel it's kind of appropriate, and we can use it as an intention if you choose. First of all, after teaching on Saturday, after the class was over, I realized that for that hour or so, I totally forgot about COVID-19. And it was just such a wonderful moment to savor. And I realized that that's another silver lining. It's another way to look at it from a positive perspective. And this morning I was thinking and kind of focusing on how everything is changing and moving and happening so quickly that we barely have time to process. So if you want to find a lesson in that, sometimes there's so much chaos happening around us, i.e. this moment, that the only option we really have is to find the peace within, at least to try. And some of us who have a meditation practice, that's the purpose of the practice. So it's a really wonderful way to differentiate between external and internal, and gives you a clue of what you're trying to find or what you're trying to pay attention to. So pay attention to what may make you feel a little less stressed, and allow it for however long you can, and practice surrender. So surrender is not giving up. Surrender is actually surrendering to those positive, peaceful energies, because they're there. And that's the lesson. They're there. And yoga is a really good tool to use to find your way there. So with that being said, let's just take 5 breaths, just regular old breaths, whatever type of breath you care to recruit, at your pace, at your depth, just 5 breaths. Often it's a way to calibrate where you are. So if you happen to be high frequency, if your breath happens to be short at the moment, just breathe into it. So we're not trying to make it anything different. We're just trying to allow it to deepen and to do the job of de-stressing us and bringing the frequency down. And after the 5th breath, just for the moment, take the right hand on the chest, take the left hand to the belly, and we'll continue breathing with a little bit more intention. So you're going to inhale to the hand that's on your lungs and your heart, and you're going to exhale from the hand on your belly. So it's just a way of understanding and learning the natural path of the breath. So as you breathe into the hand that's on your lungs, you're breathing into those balloons and filling them up. As you exhale, there's a natural kind of cavity left behind in your tummy. So just pull your tummy in as you breathe from the hand that's on your belly. So we're going to inhale to the hand that's on your heart and lungs. Exhale from the hand that's on your tummy. We're going to do 4 more of those. Again, paying attention to the destination. So attention directs energy. You want your energy to go to your lungs and your heart. You want your energy to come from your abdominal area or your core. lost count, so we're going to do 2. Inhale to the hand that's on the heart. Exhale from the hand that's on your tummy. And 1 more. Big, beautiful, full, mindful breath. Bringing your fingertips down to the floor. Some of you may not have enough room for this, so you can always bring your fingertips to the tips of your shoulders. But if you can, we do a nice, easy circle, right? Just to warm up the shoulders. So if you want to include the breath, you can inhale up and you can exhale back for 4 and for 3 and for 2. No right or wrong, no judgment. And then we're going to reverse. Bring it forward. It's all about shoulders. So if you let your arms become dead weight, it actually includes your shoulders more. You can actually exaggerate it so your shoulders are really getting a chance to move. So now we're going to windmill, which may get a little crazy, but we're going to do inhale, exhale, 5 in this direction. Include your body. Now this may be the straw that breaks the camel's back. And we're going to reverse for 3 and 2 and 1. Hands on the tops of your knees, wherever they're comfortable, because the arms have nothing to do with this. We're going to inhale forward to a cow. Exhale back for a cat. Inhale forward. Exhale back. Round all the way down to your tailbone. Inhale forward for 3. Exhale back for 3. Inhale. 2. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Come back to the center. This is a little tricky. Go back to your cat, and we're just going to circle the ribs. It might take some practice. If you want a visual, visualize yourself inside a huge barrel, and you're touching the inner surface of the barrel, and then we're going to go back for 5 and 4 and 3. Don't hold back. Let your whole body move. It's nice for your pelvis too. And back. So take another deep breath. Take your inhale down to your pelvic floor. Take your exhale out through the top of your head so that you're going up and down at the same time. And you're also lightening up and lifting off. You're going to take the arms out to the side. Give yourself a hug with the right arm on top of the left. Take a moment here just because it feels kind of good. If we move too quickly, we actually miss a really lovely moment, right? So this moment feels so comfortable and loving, and we need this now. We totally need this now. And use your breath. See if you can grab onto your shoulder blades. If you can't, wherever your hands land. And also, I'll give an alternative for this pose if you can't do this. You're going to keep the elbows knotted and bring the hands into cow. For some people, this is like next to impossible. So if that's you, the ones who are in the cow, you're just going to practice to the best of your ability, always lifting the elbows and dropping the shoulders, and you'll end up in a semi-back bend, middle to the upper back, also breathing into the back of your lungs. For those of you who have a problem with this, just bring your fingertips together, keep your elbows relaxed, press the fingertips together. You'll kind of feel the space underneath your armpits, and then isometrically draw the elbows down towards the floor without moving them, hopefully feeling underneath your armpits. So that's where we're going. And then you can drop chin to throat. And any of you who want to do this instead of the cow, please feel free to do that. So I'm imagining that The ones who could do the cow, you've had enough of that on the right. Now we're going to take a really nice hug, left over right. Take a breath. So when you breathe in this one, you're breathing in the back of your lungs. Just kind of cool, like whoever thinks about that, right? And when you do, you can actually feel the space between your shoulder blades widening. Take your attention there. It's always about paying attention, and you'll be so surprised at what you are able to experience. Keep the elbows knotted, hands in cow. And those of you who are doing the alternative, again, pressing just the fingertips to fire up underneath your armpits, or to be anatomical about it, it's your serratus anterior is part of that equation. And then isometrically dropping your elbows down to the floor without moving them, and just keep dropping the shoulders so you feel underneath the armpits. Drop chin to throat. Inhale, exhale. Nice. Let it go. Shake it out if you need to. Listen to your body. Always listen to your body. And that literally is part of moving from the outside in and then the inside out. We're going to go into, those of you who can go into reverse namaste. We're going to reverse namaste, which looks like this. And those of you who have a problem with this, just bring your hands behind your back and hold on to your elbows. Just be aware of which hand is on top, which arm is on top. And I'm going to stay here. You can, if reverse namaste is enough and you just want to kind of negotiate that, just stay in reverse namaste. If you want to get a little neck stretching, we'll go to the right first. You're just going to drop the right ear to the right shoulder, kind of imagining 1,000,000 miles from the left earlobe down to the corner of the left shoulder, and breathe into that. If you want to get kind of fancy with this, you can visualize the axis going through your skull and look all the way down and look all the way up. Just going to do 3 of these. You may discover quite a few signals or sensations. When we come back, the ones who are holding onto the elbows, just switch your arms, and we're going to drop left shoulder, no, right ear to right shoulder. Take a couple of breaths into that side bend. And if you choose to do this, you're going to look up and you're going to look down. So in this case, keep your eyes wide open because you want to look all the way down and all the way up. One more. Nice. And bring it back. You need to do a counter pose here for sure. So you're going to take your hands with the palms up. You can stay here if you're already feeling the counter pose, but you also can exacerbate it by sliding your hands sort of slowly down the slope of your quads and pressing, inhaling and exhaling. So whatever you're sitting on, let's move it. And I'm going to meet in child's pose. And in the interest of coming home, a lot of times it's so nice to acknowledge that you're in a pose that feels like home base, and that just means that you can reconnect. So again, if we accomplish finding those peaceful places, those peaceful moments, any chance we get to revisit. So if in a child's pose you feel so safe that you can visit that peaceful place again, please take advantage of it. The comfort of the chest on the thighs is a really important part of our practice. So take another 2 breaths to kind of use gravity and settle into this very compact relationship. So from here, just walk your fingertips forward enough that you end up in a puppy dog. You might feel it right away in your shoulders. Feel the tops of your shoulders. You might feel it in the middle, to upper back. Just going to take a couple of breaths here to practice finding the outer edges of the armpits, wrapping them to the floor, which widens your shoulders. And it's actually the way or the rotation that we want your shoulders to learn in almost every pose. So using the breath, there's a point of traction here. You want to get used to that so that you're not afraid to kind of go to that edge. And again, a couple more breaths, finding the outer edges of the armpits wrapping to the floor, and you might feel a slight bend in the middle to upper back, which is what we're hoping for. I'm going to take, I'm going to do it with my left, well, let's all do the same thing. Left arm underneath, thread through, drop the shoulder, drop the head, and it's a little twist. And if you find the outer edge of the armpit on the right, it's a kind of oppositional action. And breathe into it. Coming back to the center, dropping in, take a couple of breaths, aiming the armpits towards the floor, slight bend in the middle to upper back, find a place of traction, feels very safe. Threading the right arm underneath the left, shoulder down, head down. When you're there, find the outer edge of the left armpit and wrap it to the floor. And breathe through the length of your torso. So almost feel like the tailbone is going to slam into the wall behind you. Inhale, exhale. Coming back and sitting back on your heels. Now stay here, taking the left elbow. This is, again, if just take it as far as it can go. If you're able to bring the left elbow in front of the right knee, that's the full pose. Gonna make a fist with that lower arm and wrap the lower hand, I should say, and wrap the left hand around. And notice the leverage that that gives you. It's kind of cool. So use your breath again, and in every single twist, every single pose really, but particularly in twists, it's just one of those sensations that once you feel it, you kind of get it and you want to repeat it. So you want to pull that tummy in on the exhale and notice how it frees up quite a few spaces that you can then occupy. Use your breath. Coming back. Child's pose. Take a breath into the comfort, the relationship, chest to thighs, right arm, right elbow in front of left knee. Make a fist with that hand, make a kind of wrap the left hand around the right fist. And make an effort, if you can, to keep your hips square. It just gives you those oppositional forces. You won't always be going in two directions at once. You have to have something to lengthen away from. Beautiful. Inhale, exhale, and come back. Let's find our cats and cows. Hands underneath shoulders, knees underneath hips. It's a neutral tabletop, which tells you that you want your spine to be nice and straight, so you don't want to be too much in your cow or too much in your cat because you want to have somewhere to go. So we're going to inhale, cow, exhale, cat. This is all about listening to your body, following the sensations, paying attention, and moving. Do two more. Inhale and exhale. One more. Nice. Without stopping, we're going to inhale forward to the cow, and we're going to sit back on the heels for the cat. Just going forward and back. Inhale, so move. Exhale. You want to incorporate inhale into the lungs and exhale from the tummy. Inhale for 3, exhale for 2, exhale, and 1, exhale. Let's turn those toes under and do our wonderful toe stretch, right? Bend into your toes and don't keep your feet stagnant. Move them back and forth. So maybe you'll feel the pinkies. Beautiful. Feels so good. Also, be aware of the lengthening of the foot that you're doing from the toes to the heel. And we're going to attempt to get into a hang from this. I'd like to sort of move from one thing to another without too much disruption. So if you press into your feet and you walk your hands back, all you have to do is lift those knees and end up on your toes. Your feet are already hips width apart. It's kind of cool. That's what I mean about moving from one thing to another. So it's like it's a slow flow. And we're just going to stay here for the 5 breaths to practice abducting. So you're going to practice pressing the balls of the big toes down, outer hedges of the heels apart. Eventually this becomes really familiar, that firing up. But notice my knees are soft, right? So no hyperextending. We don't want a false sense of folding or lengthening. We want a true sense of that, and that would mean feeling the chest and the thighs, right? So just keep pressing the balls of the big toes down, outer edges of the heels apart, and hopefully you'll feel that firing up. Just gonna move up a little bit. We're gonna stay here, as long as everybody isn't getting too much blood into your head, and of course if you are, you just stop, roll up, and catch up. I don't want to leave anybody out. So we're going to take a little walk. If you need blocks or whatever you're using, please use them. You can also bend your knees a lot to get your fingertips on the floor. We're doing this to walk so far forward that we make the biggest crease in our ankles. So that's what it's about. Feel the biggest crease in your ankles. Hopefully that will fire up the Achilles and the calf. So we're going to do this 3 times. This is the first. I'm going to walk it back to neutral and then shift the weight onto the heels, and you'll notice there won't be any weight on your toes, which is important. And then you might actually be able to drop your chest closer to your thighs. We're going to do this 2 more times. Walk it forward, big crease in the ankles. So this is so that when I tell you to find the corner of your heels, you know what I'm talking about, right? So not punching through the balls of the feet, but finding the corners of your heels. We're going to walk it back. Weight on the heels, light touch with the toes. Might give you a little more freedom to get that chest closer to your thighs. Might not. Maybe not today, maybe another day. And over to the other side. Again, heels lightly touch so that you create the biggest crease in your ankles, and therefore you'll feel your Achilles and your calf. We all need that, especially if we're walking a lot. And again, you might notice by this third one that you have more range of motion and you can fold a little bit cleaner. A little more understanding of chest to thighs, because we're going to come back to neutral, bend the knees, and here's that relationship again, okay? Want to stay here just for a few breaths so that if you can't get it right off the bat, you can experiment a little bit. Maybe you have to shift the weight forward, maybe you have to shift the weight back, maybe, it doesn't touch today, not important. And then we're just going to bring those arms up to a comfortable place and take a nice, gentle. It's not a roll up. We're just coming up. Okay. You guys can't see my hands, but I'm not doing anything that important with my hands right now. What I am going to do, though, you're going to have to play with this, as I probably will too. We're going to come up onto the balls of our feet. That might be like a big enough challenge. So take a minute or two to like wrap your brain around this. It kind of means you're just making your foot a little smaller, and you may not get it at first. We're going to bring, the arms shoulder height. We're going to bend the knees. Make sure you're breathing and concentrating. Drop the heels. Come on back up. Again, up on the balls of the feet, like you're on stilettos. Arms, shoulder height. Please don't judge me. Bend the knees. And drop the heels. I'm the worst judge of myself. And one more. Up on the toes. Might be easier, the last one. Maybe you got this down. It's a whole different mindset. Parallel, arms to the floor or shoulder height. Woo! Bend the knees. Drop the heels. This time you're going to go all the way down. I want you to take a couple of breaths to release your lower back if you're feeling any tension there. In fact, you'll notice if you use the abduction, pressing the balls of the big toes down, outer edges of the heels apart, it goes right to that sacrum and it warms it up. You might even release your SI joint a little bit, and that's all good. We're going to cross the arms. Everybody put the right arm on top. Use the weight of the arms and pull your tummy in on the exhale so you might go a little deeper. Okay, here's where you're not going to love me so much. So again, just do what you can. Bend those knees for chair pose. Arms come on top of the head. Shift the weight forward. It makes it a little easier. We're going to stay here for 3 breaths. This is where you need that relationship chest to thighs. 3 breaths with the arms out to a V for 3. 3 breaths to bring your arms behind your back, clasp your palms together, elbows soft, squeeze between your shoulder blades, open up, of course, collarbones. Butt goes up, head goes down. Stay here for a second. Crossing the arms left over right. Hang heavy for a minute. Abduct in case you need it. Bend those knees, just the thighs, set it up, because we're going to be here for 9 breaths. 3 with the arms on top of the head. 1 more. 3 with the arms out to a V. Don't forget to breathe. The worst thing you can do is not breathe. Hands behind the back. You want to really open up your heart here. So the tailbone's going back and the heart's going forward. Keep the elbows soft. And fold down. Bring fingertips down to the floor. Come down to your knees. Sit back on your heels. Utkatasana are the hardest poses. If anything's going to take your breath away, Utkatasana is going to take your breath away. So I want to give you a chance to kind of catch your breath before we move on. So stay in your child's pose. We're going to go back up one more time. So turn the toes under. I'll face you for this one. Feet together. There's that chair pose again. Bend the knees, chest to thighs, hands to the heart. You may need to orient yourself here if you've never done this pose. You're going to take the left elbow to the right knee. You can make a fist with the lower hand. Gives you a little more leverage. And this is where you really need to use your imagination. Imagine that both buttock bones are on the wall behind you. And if you have a hard time with this, if you can't hook your elbow, just kind of improvise so that you can still do this pose. Get the benefit of the twist. Back to the heart. Over to the other side. Same thing, you can make a fist. And hopefully I'm right in the middle. There it is. It's like a bonus to get to see myself. See if I'm actually practicing what I'm preaching. Inhale, exhale. And we're going to come down. Somehow this feels really good. Stay here. Just going to cross right foot over left with fingertips on the floor. Walk the fingertips over to the right. Stretch through the left side. Always using the breath, and you'll notice if you pull your tummy out of the way, it definitely takes you to a different place. Back to the center. Switch your feet. I'll give you a minute to do that. Notice I'm keeping this easy so you don't have too many challenges in a row. Walk the fingertips over to the left. Feel that left side. I feel it all the way up to my shoulder blades. Then when you pull your tummy in and use your breath, it's really lovely moment. Come back to the center. Leave your feet crossed just to challenge your balance a little bit to come on up. Hands to the heart. Uncross. I'm going to take a sip of water. You guys are going to find yourselves in your child's pose at the back of your mat because we're going to do the sequence. So a little, hopefully by this point you guys know it, so it's a mindless, in the best sense of the word, flow. Okay, I'm going to do it this way today. Change it up for myself. Okay. Let's rock it back and forth so we get out of that kind of notion that we're supposed to hold everything still and it's all about the poses, because it's not at all. Poses are the context within which we learn and we breathe, and hopefully find that wonderful place of peace that's within everybody. It's just a matter of finding it, and that's the practice. So even here, it might give you a much better sense of peace if you rock it back and forth for a few breaths. And with that intention of motion, we're just going to bring it forward to an upward facing dog. Stay here for 3 breaths just so that, again, you can swing your hips back and forth. You can move the weight from hand to hand. You can make sure your shoulders are sliding down your back. You're going to flip over the toes if that's available. Otherwise, however you can get to your dog. Let's stay in the dog. You play with whatever speaks to you. So that's a practice in itself, listening, right? So we want to learn how to listen to ourselves. And then we're going to take a beautiful wave forward if you choose to. You might have to adjust your distance. And bending the knees. There's that chest to thighs again. You're going to thank your Utkatasanas for that. Down to your knees, open your heart. That was an inhale. I did an exhale. And exhale to your child, or whatever you like to call it. Cow. Cat. All right, here we go. 5. Without stopping and hopefully using the breath. Inhale, come forward and through, upward facing. Over the toes, downward facing. Nice equilateral triangle. Wave it forward. Lower back rounds, upper back opens. Bend knees and chest for thighs. Utkatasana variation, in case you didn't recognize that. And back. 4 more. Inhale, forward and through. Exhale, over the toes. Wave it forward. Feel the shoulders sliding down the back. Wave it back. Heels. There's the corner of those heels we were playing before. Inhale forward. Exhale. Inhale, upward facing. Exhale, downward facing. Wave it forward. Wave it back. Come down to your knees, open your heart. And back to the heels. We got one more. We've got one more. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale forward. Exhale back. Come down to your knees, open your heart. And back to the heels. Again, move it back and forth. Don't hold it still. Take a nice deep breath, especially if you kind of lost your breath or your breath got a little kind of confused. Just pay attention, okay? So inhale to your lungs, expand them, exhale from your tummy, and contract. Stay here, nice and compact. Take a walk over to the right. This is becoming second nature, guys. And this is all for the left side. You can take the left hand over the right and shift the hips as far over to the left as you can. Inhale, exhale. Coming back to the center, over to the left, sitting the hips to the right, taking the right hand if you want to go deeper, and breathing through that right side. Inhaling and exhaling. When we come back to the center, again, I'm just checking. Sorry about that. Okay. I'm going to take a moment to do a back bend. We're doing a lot of folding. So forward bends are folding, back bends are unfolding, and sometimes we combine the two. In this case, we're going to do an unfold. Everybody's got their own distance here, and range here. And if you have blocks, you might want to use blocks. This is all about swinging the pelvis through, which we practiced the other day. So you want to swing that pelvis through. So see what I'm doing? And then you're going to press your hips through. So this is not about tucking. And you have 2 more times to practice this. This is called a camel, by the way. I'm going to swing the pelvis through. And if your hands don't reach your feet, please use something. You have 3. We're going to do this 3 times. So if you need to get something, that'll give you time. And 1 more. Swing it through. And you might recognize that this opens up the heart and squeezes between the shoulder blades. So it's the same as this. I'm going to come to the front of the mat. And we're going to do my version of sun salutations. I like to keep feet hips width apart. Oh, I'm going to move back so you guys can see me. Maybe not. I think I can stay here. Okay. Before we start, take a moment with your hands in Anjali Mudra and see if you can breathe all the way down to your feet. So you want to take that inhale all the way down to your feet, which means you're taking your attention and therefore your energy down to your feet. And then as you exhale, almost can feel it lifting you off. The purpose of that is when we start to do these sun salutations and we add the more challenging poses, I'm going to talk about lightness and lifting off. So if we can start there, understanding that concept. So often it's mind over matter. It's a concept. So inhale down to your feet, and as you exhale, you almost want to feel yourself lifting off. Inhale, bring the arms, big circle, out and up, meet at the top. We're going to do 3 of these. Exhale, we're going to fold, swan dive. Reverse it, inhale. Meet at the top, exhale. Back to Anjali Mudra. So these are pretty simple, so maybe you can continue to play that idea of not being so committed to the earth, but to both, the earth and the heavens. So as you're doing this, you know your feet are on the earth, but then try to feel your energy floating out to the ends of the universe, because there is such a thing. Nice. So as we come full circle again, inhale, exhale, swan dive. We're going to stay here. You should be warmed up enough that your fingertips are on the floor. If they're not, just soften your knees. You're going to shift the weight into the right foot and float the left foot up. And take a little moment here to balance. Okay, balance is everything for so many reasons. One of which it does people in, especially when we get older. So especially as we get older, we want to practice this more. So you might notice I only took one hand off because I'm talking too much. But I'm going to try to get you guys to play with your balance. Only take one off at a time. And if you're wobbly, send your attention to the wobbly foot. It needs your concentration. Talk about being centered. Bring both fingertips back down. Actually stay here for a minute and lift that back leg. Bend that knee and open the hip out. Nice. You explore your edge. So everybody's edge is different, but everybody's got an edge. Some edges are soft, some edges are hard. Square the hips off. You're going to step that left foot back. Drop the knee. And take a moment to set up your form, right? So alignment matters. Form is about the bones. It's about the structure. Very important that they support you. So here, you want the knee over the ankle. You want the hips square. So put your hands on your hips. We're going to take a few breaths here. And then float the arms up. Inhale, exhale. Try to find that space in the middle of the back, right underneath the shoulder blades, and bend there. Inhale and exhale. So we're going to hinge it forward, get fingertips on the floor, sit back and take a runner's stretch. Reach through the heel. There's that corner of the heel again. And make sure you have a breath or two that unrounds the back. I'm going to do like 3 of these. So inhale, bring the arms up. Exhale, sit back. Runner's stretch, unround the back. Inhale, bring it up. Exhale, runner's stretch. That's 3. When we come back, you have a choice. You can take a twist with the left hand where the left foot would be and twist towards the right, or you can bring your hands in prayer, and here's that twist again. Making a fist with the lower hand and wrapping the upper hand on it, over it. And we're going to stay here just for a few breaths to feel the stability of the base, right? Because that's what's supporting you. See if you can lift out of the back quad and take a moment here to feel like you're lifting off the floor entirely. You are levitating off the floor. You're going to bring it back, step it up, feet and hips width apart, fold forward, inhale, bring the arms up, exhale, back to the heart. Take a breath or two here. Again, breathe, inhale down to your feet, exhale out through the top of your head. So we're playing that motion. Everything always moving 2 directions at once. Sometimes we're focusing on going forward and back, and sometimes we're focusing on the diagonals. The twists or the diagonals. Inhale, bring the arms out and up. Exhale, fold. Shift the weight onto the left, float the right. Set yourself up so this is doable. Keep both fingertips on the floor if that's most comfortable for you. If not, play around with your balance. Don't forget the back leg is the rudder. If it's wobbly, focus on the foot completely. Concentrate on your foot. Don't worry about the rest of it. Trying to stay here for 5 breaths so you strengthen that standing leg. Fingertips on the floor, lifting the right leg, bending the knee, and opening it out. Looking over to the right. Deep breath. Exhale. Square everything off, step it back, drop the back knee, and here we are, half monkey on the other side. Take a moment to set up your frame. Set up your structure. Be aware of your bones. Also take a moment because your hands are reaching out and up to lift. So feel the floor with everything that's on the floor, but then feel everything floating up and away. Fold forward from the tailbone, sit back, runner stretch. Finding that corner, Achilles calf. 2 more. Inhale up. Exhale, runner stretch. Inhale up. Exhale, runner stretch. Come back. Again, your choice. Right hand where the right foot would be, take a twist this way, or hook, fist, wrap, knee over ankle. See if you can lift out of the back quad. And one more time. Feel everything that's making contact with the floor, but then imagine that it's floating away. Think light, think lifted. Also, more challenging these poses are, the more chaotic it feels. So practice coming back to your center in the midst of the chaos. Beautiful. Bring it back. We're going to step it up. Fold forward. Inhale, reverse the swan dive. Exhale, just keeping an eye on the clock here. We have time. So, stay with me. I'm just going to call it out, but we'll do it slow enough so you can follow. This you know. Inhale. Exhale, fold forward. Have another chance to practice that balance. Shifting the weight on the left, lift the right. Whatever you choose to do here. I'm just going to stay here because I'm a little challenged. Oh, I made a mistake. Lift the left. That's why I'm challenged, because I'm on the left. I'm sorry, switch your legs. This time we're going to step back to warrior. So we're going to step that left foot back, right knee over ankle. And again, if you're feeling really earthbound, just practice floating away and lifting out. We're going to open this out to warrior 2. Try to keep your base quiet and strong, right? So rely on your base. Make your arms soft and heavy. Inhale, exhale. Now, you're going to straighten the front knee and tip it back for peaceful warrior. No big deal. Try to keep it simple. Your edge. And then we're going to windmill those arms the way we did before for Trikonasana. Notice all the triangles. So there's a triangle here. There's a triangle here. Kind of cool. And you kind of want to keep your head in line with your spine and check in with those shoulders, make sure they're sliding down. Windmill those arms completely so that you can step that left foot up towards next to the right. Fold forward, reverse, back to the heart. We have the other side. This is why you have to learn how to play a light game. because otherwise you get so heavy that it defeats the whole purpose, and you might actually feel defeated, which is what we're literally trying to avoid. So inhale, bring the arms out and up. Exhale, fold forward. This time, the right leg comes up. This is where I'm wobbly. So I'm just going to stay here for at least 5 breaths. If you want to play with coming up on the ball of the foot, it's kind of fun too. And then we're going to step it back for warrior one. Your distance makes a difference because you want to make sure you can rely on your base, knee over ankle, and nice strong back leg. And again, that base is your connection to the earth, and everything else is lifting out of it, especially if you use your abdominals. So take a breath or two here, pulling your tummy in. And then we're going to turn it out to warrior two. Arms are going to be heavy, so the shoulders know to go down. And then we're going to straighten that front leg, for peaceful. Here's the side bend. And use your breath. One movement, we're going to windmill to Trikonasana, triangle pose. Notice all the triangles. Triangles are the most stable shape. And your head stays in line with your spine. And you're going to reach through those top fingertips. Feels really, really good. And then those fingertips come down to the floor. The other one's next to the foot. Step it up. Fold forward. Reverse your swan dive. And back to the heart. So today, we're going to do planks for core, just one variation. So come to the back of the mat. Come to your child's pose. This time we're going to do bent arm shape. So when you come forward, it's similar to Sphinx, right? The setup for Sphinx. Or if you want to do a bent arm dog, you can do a dog like this. So if this isn't too challenging for you, it's a really nice way to open your shoulders. Then we're going to walk the feet back and bring the shoulders right over the elbows. Very important. And another thing is you want to keep your hips slightly lifted. You might actually feel the cylindrical wrap of your abdominals. But even if you don't, pull your tummy in on the exhale. I'm going to do 10. I'm going to leave you to choose your own number. Nobody's looking, so if you don't do these at all, nobody knows. And you're just going to pull that tummy in for 10. So I'm going to start the count now. You may have done 10 already. And again, we're taking advantage of gravity here, which is actually making it harder, but it's also automatically engaging your abdominals, even if you don't cylindrically wrap. So let's say about 3 more breaths, because I lost count. Nice. Drop your knees, sit back on your heels. You may need a nice moment here to release your lower back, move it back and forth. Don't forget to use your abdominals because it helps. I'm going to take a sip of water. And then we're all going to end up on our backs. So before we move on, just because we don't have a block, I don't know that everybody has a block. So actually what I might throw out there is if you have a block, place the block underneath your sacrum because it's almost like the express lane to the natural curve of the spine, which is very important in the next sequence. So I want everybody to understand that. So it kind of speaks for itself, natural curve of the spine, natural path of the breath, natural way that the body wants to function, right? So much safer much more efficient when we understand how to move with the natural curve of the spine. If you don't have a block, we're just going to do like 5. You're going to curl your tailbone under, and then you're going to swing it the other way so that your back just make a big tunnel underneath your lower back, right? So this is one extreme. This is another extreme. And after we do 3 more, if you want to include the breath, inhale to your, it's a cow, exhale to your cat, inhale, exhale. One more, inhale and exhale. Now, when you come back, you'll notice your back goes to a lovely kind of place of its own. That's what I want everybody to be so familiar with that you're never in doubt. That being said, you're going to cross, let's see, I'm going to cross right ankle over left knee. And we're going to pull that left knee in towards your chest. The whole purpose of this for today, and always for me, is to do this without curling your tailbone, right? So your lower back will press into the floor, but you're not making it do that. You're kind of resisting curling the tailbone. We're going to stay here for 5. Use your breath. So we're going to go into a half lotus variation here. If you can't, let's see, if you're lying down, you might not see me. You're going to take the left foot, drop it down to the mat with a bent knee, and kind of walk it over to the right side of the mat. You'll recognize the half lotus position here, right? So the right heel is still on the left knee, and the left heel is underneath the right knee. You're in a natural curve of the spine, so you don't even have to think about that. All you have to think about is sort of dropping and letting your hip flexors stretch. Even if they're screaming, assure them that nothing's going to break. And don't forget to breathe. And after the next breath, we're going to cross right knee over left. And we're going to go into a cow variation, Gomukhasana. Some of you will not be able to hold on to your feet. If that's the case, just draw your knees towards your chest. Some of you can hold on to your feet if you can. Kind of keep your heels lined up, symmetrical, and keep your elbows soft and draw your knees towards your chest. Again, I want everybody to, if you don't understand this, just play around with it. So you can actually like exaggerate the swing of your pelvis and stick your butt out, and that's resisting curling the tailbone, right? So you can actually do like a cat and a cow with your pelvis to figure out what I'm talking about. So I'm looking for the cow or the sticking of the butt out. Nice. Release your, whatever you're holding on to, release. Take the right heel on the left knee, drop, no, let's see, yeah, drop the left foot way over to the left so you end up in this really delicious psoas stretch. Just getting into it from a different angle. We know it from so many different ways of getting into it. And once you get your shape set up, make sure you contract into your abdominals so that you become familiar with that whole action. So we're learning internal actions here. Most of us know external actions. It's a whole other thing to learn internal actions. It's actually like learning a language. And bring it back. Left heel over right knee. Draw the knee towards your chest. You're going to take 5 breaths here. Now you know the drill. Resist curling the tailbone. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just swing your pelvis back and forth and you'll figure it out. You're not going to have a space in your lower back, but you're not going to be smashing it either. 5 breaths. Then we're going to take it into that half lotus variation. So the left ankle over the right knee, right foot underneath the left knee. And we want your hip flexors to be talking to you. And if they're screaming, that's okay too. Just send your attention. and send it peaceful energy. One more breath. Even out those knees for Gomukhasana, whatever your style. All I want you to do is feel it in your hips. And the more you practice finding the natural curve of the spine, the more you're going to feel it where we want you to feel it, the targeted area, which is your hips. And Gomukhasana is like a vice. It's a hard pose, but it's a really, really effective pose for 5 breaths. And we're going to take that left heel on the right knee, bring the right foot over to the right. Right arm comes overhead, palm down if you can. Don't worry if you can't, because the most important action here is contracting to your abdominals. Big time. And last breath. So gently come back and kind of let all that settle in before you carefully come up or stay in Shavasana if you want to. Take advantage of the silence. So just for a moment. And follow your breath. And savor if you were able to get new and different signals from your body. So the more connected we are to ourselves, the more aware we are of ourselves, the more we can catch when we've been pulled out to the edges and we're feeling totally untethered, to know that there is a place to come back to if we just stop for a moment and we breathe and we feel our bodies just like that, even in a frenetic state, even in a high frequency. Don't abandon yourself. Always include yourself in whatever way you can. Take thumbs to the eyes, sockets, bridge of the nose. Visualize your fingertips as pads with a little being, your higher self, sitting on those pads in whatever position speaks to you of being present. And breathe into that little being and allow it to be present. And then allow it to send that energy out to the edges of the universe through your fingertips. And then let the universe send energy back. Keep thumbs together. Bring hands over your heart. Remembering we're all in this together. It's just a way of being compassionate, and hopefully that's the correction. Hopefully more compassion will come back into us because it's always there. And then bring your palms out in front of you. Offering your energy to others, or if you're in need, receiving energy from others. Hands back to the heart. Fold forward. And namaste. Thank you.